Hey, this is Cooler, and he's going to do an oil change for the Scion TC RS 8.0. First thing you do is you take off the oil cap that allow the oil to drain out once you pull the oil plug off the bottom. So we'll just set it over here on the battery. And the tools you're going to need is an oil pan that you can drain your oil in. Your oil filter wrench. It's the Scion, Lexus, Toyota, Honda, Nissan oil filter wrench, 64mm by 14, and there it is here on a ratchet. You're going to need a 14mm boxed in wrench to take the plug off the oil pan, and you're going to need some gloves so you don't get oil all over your hands, and you're going to need some paper towels and a floor jack. Now I'm going to get up underneath here so you can see where the jacking point is. Okay, yeah, let's see if we got, okay, see where these two grooves are grooved out here? That's where you jack it up. Make sure you're onto that when you do it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is shut it off and set it up so that I can have you guys see what I'm doing. Cooler off for now. Bye. Okay, this is Cooler back at you on the oil change for the TC RS 8.0 Scion. I'm showing how you jack the car up. I believe I got that lined up there on the camera. I can't do it both things at the same time. So we'll just jack this up here. Okay. Okay, we're in where we should be. Let's get the car off the ground. Make sure your emergency brake is on and that you have a block behind your back tire. 9 times out of 10 you're going to forget to put it there after you're done and drive right over it. If it's big enough, you won't be able to get over it. What you want to do is get this up high enough so that it'll be more comfortable to crawl under the car and drain the oil out. And wait till it drains completely down to the point where it's just dripping, not running. And you're going to need also, so I forgot about that, a jack stand. Okay, that's high enough. We'll just add that a bit in the back here. It's funny how I forget all the things you do need to do this job. I know it's not underneath the jack point, but it's better than nothing. It will stop it from going down all the way on top of you if it falls. Okay, this cooler off for this second segment of an oil change. Okay, this cooler back at you on the oil change, this third part for the TC Scion. I forgot one thing I need to tell you need also is a drop light. We'll give you a little bit of extra light. Especially if you're doing it at nighttime in your garage or somewhere. It's daylight here, and I got it at the entrance of the garage where it comes up on the lip of the garage entrance. Okay, let's just hold this down with that wooden block. You can use those as your stopping blocks. Let me move this camera a little bit. Everything will be seen pretty well. Okay, now I need my 14mm wrench and my oil drain pan. Set that oil drain pan underneath there. Here it is. Okay, now a 14mm wrench. And crawl underneath the car. And we're going to take off that oil pan nut. Just hit it like this, and it's loose. Now you're going to have to take it off by hand. If you can get your hands on one of those magnetic plugs, that'd be good to have. You might have to order it online. You might not. I don't believe you'll be able to get this at Pep Boys. Okay, I'll be back. This is cooler off. Bye-bye. Okay, this cooler back at you. This is the kind of oil I'm going to use in Scion TC. I recommend it. It's 520 Haveling, non-synthetic. The amount of oil, I had it wrong. I went and looked in the book to make sure. And if you're going to change the oil filter, and I am, and that's the Fram CH9972 that fits in this car. Now, 4.6 quarts it calls for it with a filter change. With a non-filter change, it's 4.2. I was probably thinking more in line of the IQ. Okay, let's take a look underneath the car and see if the oil is at the dripping stage. Yeah, it is, as you can see right here. Now's the time to put your nut back on, but before you do, you're going to want to wipe off the area where you're going to put that nut back on, because there could be some dirt there. Okay, let's just wipe that off. Okay, and then you'll feel the washers up there. Don't break that washer off and don't replace it. Leave it there. It's not gonna, if it starts leaking or anything, you just didn't get it on tight enough properly. There it is. You want to hand tighten it in. Okay. There you go. Now let's just wipe off any excess oil. And you just take your wrench, 14 millimeter, and just tighten it down. And you do it hand tight, and you can tell when you got it right. There you go. Okay, and the oil canister is up underneath here. There it is there. Now this little plastic, take a pair of metal cutting scissors, I got some of those, and cut this plastic so that you can get in this area without taking this plastic off every time. And that's what I recommend doing, unless you want to take this plastic off every time. I wouldn't want anybody have to do that, especially if you take it to a 10-minute oil change guy. He's gonna have fun doing that. I've seen them hanging down underneath cars. When I come up behind him, I said, "What's that hanging there?" "Oh, I know what that is." The oil change guy didn't put the plastic back up, or he lost the screws that hold them up there. See these nuts right here? Hey, this one right here. Every one of these you're going to have to take, not that. You're going to have to take off. Plus you got plastic plugs. You're going to have to pop these out. All this stuff. Now here's another one. There's one there. This one up front here. All the time. You're just going to have to take that off and on. Look, all this stuff. All this. You're going to do that? No, don't bother. Just take some scissors. Metal cutting scissors. And cut that out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We go underneath this car. Here they are here. That'll do the trick. Something I've had around for a while. My old days of doing things. I'll set this camera up so that we can watch the oh, I forgot another thing. Dump your excess oil, your old oil in this in a 5-gallon can. Take it over to recycler. That'll be 10-minute oil change people. Once that's full, take that on over there and they'll recycle it for you. They'll take it off your hands. At you, and this is the Scion TC oil change. What you're looking at here is the oil filter canister. And the capacity for the oil for this car is on page 425 of your owner's manual. Okay, now you want to put your wrench on here, like so, and just start backing it off gently, and make sure that your oil filter canister and slowly and gently back it off. I think you can see me doing this. This is, like I said, the second time I've done this. It did not leak. You do not need to change out those O-ring seals unless they're leaking. And I've never changed them once, ever. On any car that had a canister underneath the car like this, and my wife has a 2009 Corolla with a canister. I've never changed those seals and it's never leaked. And if it does, I'll change the seals. I got plenty of them, as you know. They come with the oil filter. Sort of a joke, if you ask me. This is a sort of a joke. Putting one of these back on there, it's like they're reversing their thinking. I don't know what they think. I guess they think you can't do it. They'll do anything to get that money from you, friends. Okay. Yeah, we just want to get that off of there so we can take it off by hand now. It's kind of stuck. Sometimes that happens. You be gentle with it. Okay, once it starts leaking like that, just let her come down slowly at first. If you know what I mean, at first. Because you don't want it gushing out all over everything. There we go. I hate cleaning up the floor. They've changed the oil filters so that they have a top all the way across the top, and you don't see these fins. See these fins? And this is a Fram filter we're taking out of here. Dump all the oil out of the canister, as you see Mom doing here. Then when you set it aside, you're setting it on a paper towel, not on your floor. I didn't have to change this, but I did it for the video. It just drops in like that, and then you press it down. This one's already been set, so you don't have to press it down again. You can feel it when it hits the bottom. That's what it looks like inside. And your oil filter just goes over the center, see, like that, through the hole. Okay, now that's taking the oil filter canister off. And that's what a canister looks like, it's a little plastic canister with all the threads. Now, you've got to be super careful that you never de-thread it, putting it back up in there. Cross-thread it, whatever you want to call it. Because when you do, then you're in serious trouble. She'll really leak then, and you have to replace it. I don't know whose idea of doing this it was, but I guess he thinks he's going to make some money for his company. Probably one of the executive kids thought that up, and he said, oh gee, we need to do that. Well, anyways, that part's done, so I need to turn. Okay, this cooler back at you. We get the canister out. What you need to do is just wipe off all the excess oil off of it. I got a camera in one hand, so I can't do this properly. But I'm just giving you an idea of what I'm doing. Just take and wipe off all the oil. I wasn't even paying attention, in fact I didn't have the camera lined up. Okay, and turn it back over again. And what you need to do, you see I got my cap off my oil. And I poured some oil in this cap. Put your finger in there. Take that fresh oil and put it around that old seal. Like you see me do it. Make sure you do a good 360. Sorry about the camera work, but I think you get the idea. Now you take your new oil filter. Just make sure you got the name on the top. Then you just pop it in. It'll pop right down in. Watch. There. It went right down. Once you do that, now it's ready to go back on. So I'll set up the camera to put it back where it belongs. This cooler off. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, this cooler back at you with the TC oil change. Just put the canister back up inside there. Before you do, though, you might want to wipe the threading and everything, the area down, should I say. There's a lock. You might think it's holding. Okay, let's see if you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now you put it up in there like this. You'll be able to see the threads. Went right in, see, I can let go of it already and tighten it down by hand as far as you can go. I'd advise you take that locking mechanism right out of there. It doesn't really do anything once you get this up in there. Okay. You can't see where the gap is, but you could if you went to the IQ oil change. Exactly the same thing. Now let's get up. I'm going to get up underneath here for myself to be able to see this. Take your oil wrench, and I can't see it, so I'm going to have to go by feel. So to tighten it down, and when it comes to an end, you'll know, because it won't be able to go any further. There, see, it stopped. Now you want to give it a little pressure so you can feel if it's actually all the way up in there nice and tight. If it is, then you won't get an oil leak. There. If you go too tight, you'll break it. That's it. Now wipe off the excess oil that's on that canister. I want you to also know that once you give it a spin around the block, you want to come back and check it, wipe off the excess, because there's some oil up there where you tightened it up that will leak down. You wipe that off, and then when you come back again, you won't have any oil there at all. Okay, now we're all finished at the bottom of the automobile. Find those fibers, metal fibers, will come out of this oil canister. That's where they're gathered up. And you want to, when you pour your oil out into your 5-gallon oil can over here, gas can actually, you'll see them. And you can, what I'll do if I see them, I'll put them on this video. This is cooler off again. I don't know if you can see those in there, but in the sunlight you can see some sparklies down there, and that's the metal fibers that came off your engine while it was machining itself. Let's see if we can do that better. Sort of like mining for gold, you know, if you're a prospector. I don't know if you can see that right there, but I can. Right here. See where my finger is. I'm not even focused. That was what was wrong. I had it zoomed in. Okay, now you might be able to see it. I can't tell if you can see it or not, but see those little pieces of metal? It's little, looks like little, what do you call it? All I can say is little specks. That is the metal pieces that came off out of your car. The car engine actually machines itself, see? Now I want to get those out of there. You don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. You just take it over there and let them put anything in your car. They tell you they're putting synthetic. God only knows what they're really putting in there. Okay, this is cooler off again. Bye-bye. Paper towels you were using, and wipe out your oil pan, drain pan, and then hang it back up on the wall. Let's see. Okay, there we have it. That's where it stays, alongside of Jesus. Anyways, take this cap that you poured the oil in. You can dump it back in here, or just dump it into the car. Put the cap back on. Okay, now we're going to drop the car. Need to take out that jack stand. Sorry about that. I'm not keeping the camera on what I'm doing. Set this thing back in here. Now, we have a block behind the back wheel. We'll use wooden blocks. Why pay for anything if you don't have to? Put that back up underneath your bench. Now let's drop her slowly. Now, you new people have never done this before. I hope you learned something from this, because this is for you guys. Don't be scared of it when you change hands. Okay, here we go. Watch that front wheel. See how slow I'm dropping it down. The emergency brake is on. You hear it? When you hear that, that's the back wheel brakes. Because you have the emergency brake on, see? Okay, now we cleared the car. You can tighten it back up again, which I just did. And pull it out from under the car. Let's take and put it back where it came from. Put a sticker on the car. Up on the hood. That tells you what to do. 213 Scion TC oil change. Filter change, add 4.6 quarts. Without a filter change, 4.2 quarts. So we're going to add 4.6 quarts. Now, I forgot to tell you, I'm going to use this funnel right here. One of the big ones. Kind of like. Before I do, you take a fresh paper towel, this one's fresh, and wipe off where the oil cap went on, because it can get a little bit of dirt there. And if you do this on a new car, you won't have a whole bunch of dirt laying down in here. And I'm glad I blew off some dirt. Laugh out loud. How do you like that? I learned that from the internet. Yeah. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is add the oil to the car. That's what I'm thinking about. Oh, the damn. Okay, there you go. Now see, when it starts to drip like that, that's enough. Stop. You're done with that one. That's 2 quarts. Remember, we're going to put it 3. Quart number 3. Now, if you got any dust on top of the quart of oil, just wipe it off. Get it nice and clean. The quart could have been sitting around the garage for a month or two for you know, this happens. This is the 4th quart. By the way, when I changed the IQ's oil, it came out perfect. Right to the full mark. When I changed this one out, it was right to the full mark as well. 4 quarts. Okay, now like the sticker says, 4.6 for an oil filter change, and I'm going to put 4.5, in other words. Okay, let's open this up. We're going for a 1/2 quart. So, you see me pouring it on in to where I think I got half of it in there. And it's just about half. Let's set it down on the floor. Okay, it's just going to take just a little bit more. I had it right pretty much at that time. Okay, that's about where I want it. Don't forget to put your cover back on. Before you do, take a paper towel and wipe that cover seal off. I think you can see me with the cover. Just take the paper towel, fresh, clean one, and wipe that seal off. Wipe this all off. Any excess that might have got out, you don't want it going anywhere or staying on the engine. Now put it back, cover back on. And that's an oil change for the Scion TC RS 8.0 by Cooler.